Esa chica que usted tiene, con ella me he de casar. Esa chica que usted tiene, con ella me he de casar. Su oído me dice, tiene dueño mi corazón.
His name was Charles Fletcher Lummis. He got a Edison wax cylinder recording machine and sat down older California people to ask them to sing all the songs they remembered from the old days. Recorded over 12 hours of those songs. So I've gone back to those Edison cylinders and transcribed those, put them into music books and teach other musicians how to play them so we could try to take back our heritage as Californians and make it available to ourselves again.
So if you've got a lizard that's out in the boonies someplace and you make your lizard noose, and you have to eat. You haven't caught a beaver, no deer. Now lizards don't bother with grass. It doesn't scare them because they live in the grass. So when it goes over their head like this,
they think it's just natural.
Yeah, they think it's natural. And then you jerk it and you got your lizard. And if you're really hungry, you then just bite off the head and suck out the guts.
I usually serve soft drinks, occasionally a sarsaparilla and cream soda, and on some occasions we serve water.
We have what's called a hands-on program,
Okay.
and we make button yo-yos.
Oh, cool.
Some people call this a whirly gig. Some people call it a button buzzer. But we call it a button yo-yo.
Was a cowboy I knew in Sonoma. His face was burnt deep by the sun. We have kind of an emphasis on what's going on with the tending of cattle for hides and tallow. That was the major industry in California here at the time. Let me tell you a tale of the old days when the country was wild all around. Sit out under the stars of the Milky Way.
I'm one of the docents here at San Juan Bautista.
Okay.
I'm usually here for Saturdays. That's when we present at this place right here, which is our Ramada. We show how 100 to 200 years ago people would be cooking.
We've had this thing about 7 years now. It eventually had gotten to a point where the heat in it was not even. So actually the blacksmith and one of the other volunteers was a part of a, what do you call it, Boy Scout project, built and rebuilt and put this together.
So yes, you do have to be careful. That's why a lot of women actually were killed by their clothes catching on fire in those.
So that's going to get that back up to boiling again. And I'm going to leave it there for about 10, 12 minutes and add all my vegetables.
I built a Smith City encampment. I started with one tent, and then that became one bed, and then I made a fly, and then I made a chair, and then that tent got another tent to keep it company, and then it got another bed, and then it got to be where it is today.
Talk about your farms and your Chinaman's charms. Talk about your silver and your gold. A cowboy's life is a very dreary life, just riding through the heat and the cold. Early every morning you can hear the boss. Love doing all this research in old songs. That one's called A Cowboy's Life.
I decided to take up living history and took on a persona of a gold miner. We had Civil War people here, we had mountain men, but there was a kind of a gap, so I took that place.
My favorite period to portray is the 1830s through 1860s here, during the formative period of what's now California's history. It's also a period that is frequently overlooked, which is part of the reason I enjoy highlighting it and telling stories about it.
A cowboy's life is a very dreary life. Some say it's free from all care, but it's rounding up cattle from morn till night in the middle of the prairie so bare.
Hi, my name is Captain Jack, and I represent a trapper and trader from the fur trade era.
Sell your saddle and your bridle, quit your roving and your traveling, marry you a pretty little wife. Well, talk about your farms and your Chinaman's charms, talk about your silver and your gold.
My character was something that came out in 1826 with Jedediah Smith. We were looking for beaver because everything had been trapped out in Utah, Colorado, Montana.
Scottish sailors came over here in the old days, and they'd bring their dances, and they'd go to the local places and learn new dances, and everybody was exchanging.
I like the gunfights. Yeah. Who doesn't like good smoking powder? I had some old boy ask me one time, "Why do you use black powder?" I said, "Because it puts out a bigger fire and it makes more smoke. What do you want?"
It's an 1858 model. This is the cartridge. It was made out of rubber. It holds the powder and the bullet. And it can be reloaded on horseback. You put the cartridge in the rifle, you close the rifle, you go to half cocked, you get a cap out of your pouch, and you put a cap on this little nipple.
This cabin was actually built in 1834. And 1834 is the time period when California is being taken over by Mexico. They actually took over in the 20s, but they didn't secularize the mission until 34. So at that period of time, that's what we represent.
I'm portraying a gold rush era doctor.
Okay.
And the doctors were really very interesting in California in 1840s and 50s in that there were very few trained doctors in California. And the theory of medicine that they were using at the time was so radically different than modern medicine today. It's always something that's kind of an eye-opener for kids and people. So I find that that's a really interesting subject for people.
Come on, just bring out your kids and bring out your family and come visit Docents of Bautista. It's a very fun park.
If you forget your history, you're going to have to do it again. I mean, they tell you that. It's written in the books. And I think we're probably forgetting a lot of our history now, you know.